no vivinaka. Eh, nimbola vinaka Levu na sema mai en singa vinaka ni kuwa ngona singa mukilulu chiko vikitungo i Amerika sa uti tiko ngona rua en tini kilima na miniti vikitungo i California verto na East Coast en City Level New York sa uti tiko ngona na la lima. Lima ena tini ka lima na miniti. Kito mbera tiko na tolna ya ua, ia o kla mai viti ndo liu tiko ena dola sina, sa singa loto levu tiko mai viti, o kla nisa ge o tiko na tini, ena tini kona miniti ena matakalila. Tamarau, ni rawi kena mena mai sema vate na nongo programu, wako sivi na madhaongo, ena kena waka na numitiko na nonda singa na marama. Se kena waka pertania na International Women's Day. Klan International Women's Day na baka numitiko en singa wakarawai ia en singa bilang ni ko se ketulu singa mungkin lulu tikongo na Amerika wa bini bila ketika ni bikim ni todo ko bilang balik na nomoni sema mai en mata kendai ia me baka ngana keni bakarau bikim ni nando baka mura cuk mena nongo programu ndo langa ndo na sere me te kubuna na nonta pitala no ia me baka ni kerau semro tiko na yan totoka o kandabu na tobole menda na sema kina na tiki ngonongo mo na bangaramanda na bulo sambitu kina na serengo wambuli tukan vikim ni sa sema ramai rani oni tukuna mai na bulo na manda oni sema tiko mikina na tiki ngono sarangango ni tukuna mai mikiro kila na marama erua na vunua oni makarorong tiko miki. Na ngo sema sarti ko ningo i California ka sema sarti ko ki New York da baka vivinaka ni sema tiko mingo o Amele Tabuya Tarakinikini. Ia santana ronga da madana nanda sere da baka vivinaka verto na vangan rokon ni sangani na sere na liwabi au nimbula nimbula. Sarong-rong vinakadina na serangondo baka vinaka na mata sere na wangan rokon ni sangani na non to sere rongo vinaka baka mbulutukan bikim do na sema tikmai na university ni Deva ni Pasifika na itacho ni Matiwale kay kim do kedo na staff Elizabeth Fong kay Varsity Chambers vinakabalibo na sema tikmai baka mbulutan chuka ichapan masterle karawal Levu vinakabalibo tule na sema sartiko na bonua totoka matentu pakai tamer o chabani. Bang bula talaga yung ilandi, bula binaka ridin talamiri, na balebu kali, binaka balebu kam dola sema tikumay. Kay maramalita, sala sudo me na korturanga kay Amerika na Washington DC. Sa araw to me rang tiko na korturanga may Washington DC. Nimbula binaka maramalita sala. Wabi di pinakabikim ni nanomuni sa sema raw mai so bikim ni sa tokolati sa talaga ng biliti na sini nomuni mo le boliva goindo na Talanoa kami anda maraw ni so weekend do na ngonongo na bukuti ko ni bakala numi ni nonda singa na marama santa masar tungango na nonda marama bulan ito kay o Amele Tabuya Tarakinikini kasi masarti kumain na korturang liw o New York mumbuli binaka Amele.
Na ba Levu ni bula binaka Dr. T ni bula binaka talangana nonda ni barong chikumai kani marau ba binak ba Levu ni soli chikuna ngona kena nom ni visureti Dr. T me daru mai vital no na kamniko.
Nakabalevo ba lavo tumada dan raki may New York.
Ngonongo se winter se mbatambatatu na raki se ndaduri tumba se mbatambatau sinireda na temperature niko sa kilatunga it's cold.
Sandin, eh? Okay.
So kind of 10 degrees Celsius right now. So it's not so cold. So 10 degrees.
Oh, okay. Sandin. Pana na langit de bata, na ude de bata. Se na snow. Se luto chungati sarin.
Yeah, Nikua Tauchkanalangi, so we have a lot of rain here. I'm not in the city right now. I'm in the suburb of Troy. Na uda debata se mbintungai tumba se minongani waidhala, which means, that it's still cold here. Troy is always may suba 29 degrees Celsius, right? I'm looking at it right now. So right now it's 100%. Looks like it's snowing again, rain and snow.
Wow,
Heavy
Sandin.
rain, heavy rain forecast right now.
Okay. And then suba Rusaluka Viwa, 29 degrees, New York 18.
Yeah.
Eh? So ndota kana via waki Levu via waki na buku ni katakata ruto iri toko misuba kete toto olo toka New
Okay,
York.
very good.
Iya, dia Sara. Ih, sebenarnya aku bilang balik Sara Amele na nomu lingom na nomu ker mongol mai dor me bital na tikinanga songa na ulu tanga me balik chicken na marama belete ni nomu tu matu bale sa wabu kita na buru na buku ni nona takatako nomu tu tata obia dana ke ranyo wase so na nomu some of your own life experiences with your travel, especially nandindi matin tu ndindi lawa e baudi kana na marama. Dorna ngai ngolewa na ulutanga Levu then. But maybe it's first for you to introduce yourself one more time. I know you are familiar face to a lot of our listeners. Who have seen you wearing different hats. So maybe it'll be great me o sema tali na bonua o ma dhabutu meke na no mukoro kornivasu kena bonua sus meke na.
Mhm. Nabale Dr. T, like I said earlier, I just really want to thank you for the great work you're doing. It's important to edify you and all the great work you've been doing in highlighting a lot of important work that our people, not only in Fiji and the Pacific and globally, that you've been doing. Um, I think this is the third time that you've invited me to be on your platform. So I'm really, it's an honor for me. Like I said, when you invited me and I looked at the topic, I said, okay, it'll be an honor. I'll make the time. So it's really an honor to share this platform with you. It's a very popular platform that a lot of us follow whenever we can. So thank you, Dr. T. And you do a very important work. That's important for us to highlight. Na itabi garabat. The first time I heard about you, you used to work for the Fiji Museum, eh? And then a little bit I heard about you at FBC, and then hibiscus. There's so many other things that I know that you've been quietly working on, and your studies. You make a lot of us proud, right? You make Fijian women, Pacific women proud. Um, Ni bosotia ke baka na bos ba Viti, bos ba langi, so I'll try my best to explain and share a bit. Dr. T sent me some questions that I'm sure we will follow that, and we'll keep it open so that we can talk instead of reading a script. And if I do read, I'll let you know that I'm reading. Nungu koronga, dabutumay na koro tiliva na tikino na kasaleka na sana baturang kandavu na turan tamango e basu talinga i na kasaleka no koro soltabui na kasaleka kandavu o vaya na maramatina na ngumbumbu kero viadani. I thought it's important to highlight her as well. Ngumbumbu e maramni soltabui e basu talinga i lomani koro na kasaleka kandavu. Io iau au wasu ina koro turanga koro tovu toto e lau na maramtinango na toka na uluvatu na matangali o na matangali sa turang. Na maramtinango e wasu I na koro e roi mai matuku lau na toka watu tuba matangali ke te chiliva. Yambek nga na kingu tuk-tuk. I think it's important to mention wawati na korondele laskau wendina na itasiri. Vana ne rongo ne leo sa roti kuna makumbu kerau. Ndua tale sa barombasi kechikumengo na lomni rombe nga na madongo. So we will be so excited. We're going to have 3 grandchildren in total for now. Iyo kombe nga ya Dr. T.
Isa vivinaka vale besar Amele na nomu wasema na itukutuku membaleti na nomu tumbu take mai na lima ni bisusu maro talanga na nomu tabuta mai na bono baba kawatikina sa meti korto na nomu nganelewa andro sa kalonga ni sa tiku na makumbumun rawe tali na nomu semata na bono basukina na bono talanga bakayara kina na kendori da Amele na bimbini yata
Mm,
vau sivi ve ira na varro tiku mai kora pakaya ve na nonro bumbu vata matanga Amele na nomu tumbo take mai na nomu kila ndio vaya ve na nomu bumbu na dhaba sona kaumbo na numa na nomu tumbo take tiku mai na isema ve nomu yata.
mm, mm. Me bakanga kendana tuki. um, our culture, the firstborn is always named to your father's side. Eh? Kito babi tadini, naturan tama gurtole va, gas don marama, don anangan reto ni to nei, na tinan reto na tabali kito me na bubal na tamata, me lawaki na kasalaka. So their mother is a Tabuya. Yang gas don ito nei sangai tarab na nunggu levu turangan gas ni bulbadeng chose bata Tabuya indo tal nunggu levu do bengarab tu ngamendel ni abu levu ciuta Tabuya sangai ngondon na turang tamangu le turang ni balu na navy. Ya me bakanyo ngasen tondo vikito babita dini yo samen bada ve bada ve nunggu bumbu. Um, Se ngone sara, so I still remember bumbu kito tumbu dake mai. Nungku tutunga au sini stavi kwa kanga rongo then you pula walu chukumbak sa lenga nungku tutu. Ya nungku bumbu turang andam da maram andam damu maram balabu ulu wai maram totoka tall and slim. Maram ni solta bui ya basu ilom ni kor talanga na kaselek. Do mbes mbes taka nungku bumbu mendo bikito memokwe. I still I still remember me sando vimo kutoka nana kosando matana da toko me bikito me kunindo e tangi ni me lako irana do me kito mbate ni na ronga nga bumbu e sando tan la vital no ban bimbio yao ni nona yava eu tambu tambu seranga me moku onge bakasam tak bertona tamangu rona tamangu levu do é onde o kadip tunga nau blete ni va da venon reto nau na tamangulevu kwa li gasini vuli li afsar me le senior education officer eastern master Joseph Tambuya ondo klatunga na ba men tubi ko ambrata na tambu nindo e vosti ki au ke chiko ko ubaka samtak na un singenero baka mau sa oda tuna wawa o tamimbeto yo sa tamanimber Sara bos ni umber sange ba mingon ko tataliw. O de la wana sing ni kon sing ni now. Ke ember ken na warra ki ko. So ni ko tumba dak chik my you the namesake of your grandmother. It's an honor to be named after your grandmother. So you have special treatment. Matai tambuni ndrui. Tambuni dan ndrui. Sando ronga dina. Misando vi mo kanana sando watok mengom bumbu. Kuani ranrui na ngone ke menta sando kilani chikum bumbu inda ndrui na menta mokwe ndrui nga anda kaila sarita ke meren ronga dong bumbu ni sanda ndrui ya na mokwe sini mose sanda kaila nga meren ni inda mai da me taro minda kuni moku bale sando eta mo bumbu kuni ndrui na ngone na vi ndrui chil chukar na ndo ngai chil na bali ngada ngada me mata sa bosa ondo baka samtak nung bumbu ndo mbutanga bango na ke sanga toka na ubi se tapioca mbutanga kosa sobsar na kena wine do ng bilo wa masim vale lai wa baras vale lai ngunusar that's what I remember with my namesake sinindende na tiko batki keto batani wetinga sa listal kandabu but I remember her very well. Yeah? A beautiful lady. So that was a very special treatment for me. And not only her, but I'll talk about later on um, the other relatives, other women, who I grew up around. Yeah, new father be nung bumbu sa nando klatungan daul matua. Va na sana be tamanda. Matayo sa va tumanda be nung bumbu na tini tamango. Kin karo ni ul matua. So sometimes, without realizing, you the boss, eh? Uh,
Wow.
so it's a special place to be named after your grandmother. So nungo sa may bawa tikin mengin do tukun matatando na kaso no do tukun listelan. Kuni boss bebele bana tinamu. Yeah.
Vinaka sa Amele na nomu você mais só na Talanoa Totoka na vi kao na numa na vi Talanoa talaga nakatuka na madango. We were looking at the power of storytelling and
Mm,
also the sharing those beautiful memories ang maraw mo na nga namutuko na may na kaya nariri na uvi. Tabi ako, baka masima, baka marasisa. Ira nga rando bumbu, siya rando na kama na kaya, siya baki.
yeah.
Wow. Na baka nakatunan dele ni bibakan de mene. O beba bi bina ko mo se mai no mital no min baleti no muyava. Baleti ni warung tal chunga sono marama. Yana singwala ni ko so tal nga ngone le orge waka wati ngoni. Mera kila tal nga na bimbi ni waka toka ya.
Mm,
Baleti bi kan ni tuke na waka toka ya den dua toka na itabi bimbi. Ni
mm,
semera menanga ni sudu na ngoni baka ngo. Nanto sana na makitiko ni na sudu na dona makumbumundo sana tiko na pakana nanu na yava maybe rona viotini na vika boya na kendo rei so batali vika na toki na itobo ni viva ka meni meni
mm,
bako si maybe na wekanta na bosi na sana vinondo mbu wakatanga kina beira na marama tinata ina ko bale besar amele na kere tiko bu binaka na daru bitala no ya daru na rin sarmana na sinang ko na International Women's Day. Um, nanguna ya sarmando sarongoda ken na singa ni bana numi ni membale chikenta na mara.
Um, just to rephrase your question, the first time I heard about.
Yeah, the first time you heard about this special day, eh? Because it's internationally celebrated, eh? Mm.
Um, yeah. Um, au sa tu may Viti, au sa rongoda tu na International Women's Day. But I was not really that involved. Um, I got married at around the age of 22. Um, and then kito sembimbi may Viti, we left Fiji in 2001. So we've been kind of away for over 2 decades already. And just the other day, I was telling my husband, you know what? I think I've lived more years with you than with my parents. Right? um, the first time that I really kind of got involved with International Women's Day, or got really to really understand more as when we lived in Jerusalem. We lived in Jerusalem. The women get together. We usually do something on International Women's Day just to commemorate the day. When we lived in Nepal, I happened to, at one point, I was also the president of the United Nations Women's Organization. So we pick out these important days. So for me, that was a time that, it was part of our calendar as we planned, 8th of March, we need to do something. So usually, when I think back, I remember planning a celebration. We usually have it in one of those big, lavish hotels, inviting all the different women's organization. Everyone comes together to share their stories. I recall at 1 year, I worked with the British ambassador just to buy a litro I still remember this word, lithotriptamine. I had to learn that word. Kung baka na misindo banget taki me banana watu birna those who have stones in. So that was the only machine that we managed to get through the funding of the British High Commission in Kathmandu. Dona kando to birabali na maramani Nepal na uh, prolapse uterus. I think we talked about it a little bit during our past conversation. So that was also one thing that we worked together with other organizations in the other agencies in the United Nations. I happened to be good friends with a lady who was the deputy in UNFPA. Now she's, one of the top boss in the UN still. So what I did, with UNICEF, UNFPA, UNDP, towards the end of the year, they usually have some funding left. So I learned that we could ask for those funding. And a lot of times, we have to put a proposal together to show what are we going to use that money for. And if it goes with their, aligns with the work they're doing, that's where we usually get some funding. So when it comes to, International Reading Day, we work with UNESCO or UNICEF. UNESCO is more to with um, protection of culture and protected buildings. I recall when we were in Cuba lately, the hotel where we were was a UNESCO heritage building. So back to the prolapse uterus, that was one of the highlights that we did in nonra culture na may Nepal nindona maram sa to ko tikna matia baka mera superstitious to ira maybe dona ka you did something wrong, that's why you are having this, and they're usually klaro karsando biling to sando clan, it comes with the stigma and also with the stench, the smell. So it's quite sad. Yo, kito na women's organization, the United Nations Women's Organization, comprised of United Nations staff wives and the elite women in Nepal. There are a lot of, it's a Lebanon, but the rich are rich, they're really wealthy. So those are the ones that we work together to help these women. And I recall it was a really rewarding experience for me to be able to raise funds. I know my husband and I got his help to help me do a fundraising in Nepal, where we invited, at that point, I was told that the embassy, the Indian embassy, they have money that could be used. So, but we went through I think it was the German embassy in New Delhi that we reached out to, and they got us musicians from Vienna who they paid their airfare, they paid their accommodation, and they came to Kathmandu in Nepal. So, in Nepal, that's a big thing, so I was all over the media in Nepal that we were going to bring in these top musicians, and we sold tickets. And what we did, we specifically targeted the embassies, right? So you don't want your embassy to have, not to be part of this event. So each table was sponsored by each embassy. That's how we managed to sell out our tickets. So we raised a lot of money. And the money that we raised really to help the women of Nepal who had prolapse uterus. And it just cost about 10,000 Nepali rupees to have a surgery, just a minor operation, and they get fixed, and everything is back to normal. But the after they give birth, they don't get to rest. They start working again, carrying bricks on their back. Babies in the front and bricks on the back. So that's why a lot of them have that issue. Viti. I know when I give birth, my mother, my mother-in-law, they spoil me 3 months. You just eat and get fat, right? And you, when I saw in Nepal, they are hardworking women. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe what I saw. And just for them to get uh, that operation, 10,000 Nepali rupees, and $100 is about 8,000 Nepali rupees. So 10,000 Nepali rupees is just $105 or something, and you get an operation. I recall when I went to the hospital in Kathmandu to visit one of these women. Gaira, are very superstitious telling I, right? Nindo salakan valley bukira, like you kind of a mini god to them, eh? So when I came to the hospital to visit this lady, I was in tears. She got up and just, you know, bent down on the floor and kissed my feet just because she was so happy that finally she is made well, she's well again. Ni ravasari tu nga sa do lakut ka sara langlangot tu na imboy sar do biwa tik tik tu tangan sa bawa ti tale balete ni salure don kai lengvi watina but to get back that good health, that confidence, the little things that we don't even think about that will make a difference in someone's life. So back to your question, to me, International Women's Day and women's issues became a reality for me when we lived in Nepal, where I saw the difference between women who are wealthy and women who are not really well to do. Gaito na kasona ka usinrani talno takekem but in the vitalno chikubango but
Iya.
so generally that's it and we partnered with with a lot of well-to-do Nepali women, highly educated. Some are still my friends today, to help their own women. So for me, it is really fun and also an educational journey and a humbling one too for me, um, to see that. Um, and they are really, good people, people with manners, with culture, and they're really accepting to us foreigners, a really good host, to say, when we live in their country. I mean, they took good care of my children, and the labor there was so cheap that you could have helpers in the house. So it was really a good time for us to live there. And that's why for me, sometimes I see things from both sides. I was a foreigner in a country, and then back to this work where we are working right, with the work that my husband is doing.
Mm.
Uh, so we are now working again with our own country, with our own people. So you get to see both sides of the equation. Because sometimes foreigners can ill-treat the locals, and that makes me really furious. Um, and sometimes um, they can really do a lot for us, but we, the locals, have to be educated and aware of what's happening so that we don't get taken advantage of. Right? But that's really a time where I felt I had the first-hand, information to work with women and work with all these United Nations agencies. Um, I'm who am I? Just an average person, average woman from Fiji, being the president of the United Nations Women, where all different nationalities women, lots of them with PhDs like you, with doctors and all that. And Amele is just Amele. So um, so I think it's really, sometimes really doesn't have to do with the decorations behind your name or next to your name. It's really just about having a heart of service and be open to learning, right? Because I don't know a lot of things, but I'm always open to learn, and always I just feel God always places us in a place where you are able to serve other people. And when you look at them, it doesn't matter. They're not Fijian, but they are human beings. They're women, you know. And again, starting, I have 4 daughters. So this International Women's Day is even more important to me because I'm a woman and I have 4 daughters. And also, for example, working in Nepal, I have a lady who's cleaning. I have a lady who's cooking. I have a lady who's full-time watching Pirina. So I felt these are women that I should take care of because they work with minimum salary, right? Um, 8,000 Nepali rupees. That's $100 a month. That was all that they were paid. So we were advised that you cannot pay them more because if you do, when you leave, you spoil their, um, they're used to that lifestyle, and then when you leave you spoil everything. But we advised that the best thing you could do is support them by paying for their children's education or buying groceries. So those were some of the things that we did, that just to help the families. And for me, I see them, these are women that I should take care of. So when they come to me, I make sure I take them first to the doctor, they get checked, they go to the dentist, they go to the, gynecologist. I want them to be healthy because they'll be living with me and taking care of me. I remember one of my, and the culture with them, like you as the boss, you don't eat with them, right? You eat separately, they eat separately. I didn't know that, but it's fine. I don't care that I didn't um, didn't do that. I always go to the kitchen and I eat with them because I want to talk and they want to learn English. And my daughters taught them how to speak English. Uh, in the beginning, they couldn't speak English. So our next door neighbors were Catholic nuns from Kerala, India, that who are teachers. So the Catholic nuns were the ones who used to translate for us. So I would call next door, sister, can you talk to the Didi, explain? So she'll be the one explaining to them, and then she'll tell me what they want. But by the end of the year, they were all speaking English, right? Basic English that my girls taught them. And like I said, they're not allowed to eat with you. You're not allowed to stay in the same space with them. But I would just go to the kitchen, eat with them. And I remember one day, one of the ladies, uh, they call the maids Didis. So Maya, her name. I said, Maya, boil the kettle. Let's have tea. Okay, madam. So she boiled the kettle. We were having tea, and I watched. When I put the cookies in front of her, she wasn't eating. Eh? She was just, sipping the tea. And I said, Maya, have some cookies. What's going on? She said, Madam, I cannot eat. I said, what's the problem? She said, something wrong, with her broken English. Something wrong, my teeth. I said, open your mouth. I want to see. When I open her mouth, oh my gosh, I saw all the cavities in. I say, Maya, drop everything. We are going to the dentist right now. No, madam, it's okay. No, you are going to the doctor. I'll take you. We went to the dentist. As soon as Maya lay down on the on the chair and the dentist came with his tools, Maya fainted. She was so dead scared of the dentist. And the dentist said,
Mm.
look, I haven't even touched her and she fainted. I said, Maya, wake up. What's wrong with you? Um, Anyway, so to me, I think for those of us who have people that work for us, one of the important things is that we should take care of them, right? And me as a woman, I think that was one of my responsibilities. So people who work in the house, my husband, say, leaves it with me. He doesn't have anything to do with them. I'm the one that does the talking and everything. Um, so I recall this, and even when we moved back to New York, Maya had to have a surgery. I think it was to do with her uterus, and she called us to say that she needed this surgery and if we could help her. So we told her, okay, how much does it cost? She told us the cost, and I sent the money to the nuns, the Catholic nuns, and then they took it to the hospital and paid the hospital. Um, and and as I'm sharing this story, again, on women, I recall in Nepal, they very strict with funding, right? You cannot send Western Union from Nepal, but you can receive money, but you cannot send out. So usually, every end of the month, I send money for my parents. So when we're in Nepal, wasangirmay na. Sa sinro kena vakuila yani.
Mm.
Sa sinro na vakuila yani. Irongko resinde ni vakuila, ira receive nga. Sa tukuna tamen beta mikim ni sa vako tamen. Sa time ni to receive kito. Okay. So we had to figure out ways of sending money out from there. So at one point, the nuns were trying to build a school in Nepal for, in the rural area.
Mm.
So they came to me one evening and said, we have a problem. We can't build this school because if we send the money here, first of all, it's highly taxed. There's so many complications and so many rules and regulations. So I thought to myself, "Well, how can we do this?" I said, I have an idea. You know what? This is from their Mother Superior in Rome. I said, you tell your Mother Superior, I'm gonna give you my husband's United Nations account number. So tell your Mother Superior, send the money there, and I will go and withdraw the money. That way we bypass all the all the complications. So my husband realized that there was money coming into his account. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that I told the nuns to send the money there. He said to me, Amele, you can't do this. This is not right for me to be receiving money in my personal account from the. So I said, it's fine. I already told them they sending the money to you. So every day I went to the ATM to withdraw until that large sum amount of money was all withdrawn. And guess what? They were able to build a school from that funding. Yeah. So towards the end, the Catholic nuns next door were calling me Mother Superior because I would figure out solutions for them. But that's, I'm telling a story, but that's really a place where I lived. I love that country. I would love to go back there one day. Um, but that's a country where there's so much resources.
Mm.
It's overpopulated, but so much resources. But the people are so nice. Yeah? Um, very respectful, and the women are overworked. And if you come from a rich family, you're okay. Otherwise, you really have to work hard. Yeah. Sorry, Dr. T, I took much longer than expected.
That was so beautiful. That's exactly what I was, sort of wanting to hear, particularly for you, Amele, as you rightly said, there, your family have traveled all over the world, and to hear these stories,
Oh, yeah.
because of that one simple question, you have unpacked a lot of things. I was taking notes as I normally do. A few things I've learned from Nanomu Wasema and Nanomu Talanoa with Jerusalem and Nepal, networking. Yeah,
Mm,
networking, collaboration, and the art of delegation. So
mm,
those three beautiful lessons that we have learned. And for you as a Fijian woman, as a foreigner in a foreign land, and you were able to be in charge of all of these things. Rogo vivinaka, that you were actually doing something. Yeah?
mm,
So that really makes this International Women's Day, real and impactful. And I think that was so beautiful when you gave the example in Nepal, with the prolapsed, uterus situation. You did not just sit there, kailangan ka na sa lungon, "Isarto malaloma." Well, but veika mo, Amel, you decided what should we do?
mm.
What should we do? So, on the same note, Amel, what do you think, even in the case of Fiji, maybe in the Rori, the Mantasano Kantao, thinking of the same concept of action,
Mm.
what are your thoughts right now as to what you see back home? Do we have enough power, we can to Viti, to do such actions like that? Chamborong vila kanjina umaro tekina. Na no mo bibu ke bikenda na marama. No $100 to have that operation. If you can do it in Nepal, I'm sure you can do it anywhere.
Well, like everybody else, we all have a vision. We all have dreams of what we can do. Um, Sometimes I wish I lived more in Fiji. Um, Even towards the older age of my parents, I would have wished that I lived more with them than living outside of Fiji. But I guess, this is the path that God has paved for me and my family. So it has not allowed me to live all these years in Fiji. But um, I've I'm grateful, It's I wouldn't have learned all these lessons. I wouldn't have been the Amele that's Amele today if I did not have all this experience. Um, and then I'm thinking, you saying about the women. Just today I was looking on Facebook and I saw all the beautiful artifacts that's created by the women of Fiji. It's very impressive. Um, I know a great friend, Blulele Nanovo, was sending me pictures of the artifacts that the Song of Amarama in Kandavu that they've come up with. Sa Totoka din. Um, One of the things with I think don't I have to be very diplomatic in in the way I say things. Anyway, one of the things that I find with our women, um, first of all, in terms of our artifacts, they're beautiful. But one of the things that saddens me is that the consistency and the quality. Right? So nangono kenda sa sandadakadaka nga merawa. Please forgive me. I'm not here to judge anyone. One of the things that saddens me when I see na kulkulachi sa levu na imbe sa dhula, maybe because my mother used to weave. She used to weave. She's the best when it comes to weaving. Na kulkulachi, na toka kula, na maramtina ndo na kianandao. Inangunungo sa dare ni sa levu na imbe sa dhula. And if I have a choice, I wouldn't use any of that. But I use it, I've used it, and some really do great work, very neat, and it looks really good. Um, and I think, our culture too has to evolve. Maybe, people watching me would be saying, but Amele, we need to make the money. So I understand that aspect. So I think maybe there should be a guideline from maybe the Ministry Toke, or so guideline where we have traditional art that is preserved. Kuniali sar nanon the culture ni kila ni kulkulat na Viti. And then have another category of contemporary arts. I don't know what you call it. You'll be more well versed with this area, Dr. T. So that's just my thing, for those of us entrepreneurs, we want to make money. Okay, that's fine. But for me, I always have the first choice. But if that's not available, then I go for the one Kwarasa Kroshataki. So we cannot condemn the women who are doing the crochet mat, Kona Imbe Dhula, because they have a customer. They have a customer to demand that. So that's fine. That's fine. People need to make a living because I don't put bread on everybody's table. So they need to make a living. We have to understand that. But still, deep down inside me, I feel that there should be a regulation to protect uh, our work. Na kana preserve taki, kana maroroi na nonda thaka ni linga na toki. Waka ngonon ko ken sa reda na sal sa lak na plastic sa lak na reveni. It's pretty, it's beautiful. But are we educated to think about the effects of using all those plastics. What
mm,
does it do to our island nation? Uh, so these are some of the things. And yo tu muda mo kila na do bang tek na bau. Kisa sanga na bau sa sinipul rayon na bau. Bang tek na ndronyi vasili me base ni salu eh. Yung onongo sandarida. Uh, I must say, even in Fiji, I get really sad when I see that they are using artificial salu in Fiji. Why? Hmm?
mm,
You are in Fiji. Use the flowers. Us, like we second we use artificial here because we are far from home, right? Um, so I think sometimes there has to be a balance between becoming an entrepreneur and preserving our culture, right? And then we have to understand that there's no Fiji, what, 1 million population?
mm,
Nobody else can be Fijian, just you, right?
mm,
So if you don't want to do what preserves your identity, your culture, then who will? Eh? So I mean, that's just my own, like I said, please, I don't want to be judged. I'm not judging anyone. You
mm,
asked the question and I'm just sharing. This is how I feel. And I can maroro ina nonda yao na itoke.
mm,
Um, and I know different places in Fiji have different arts. That's what I was seeing on the pictures in the expo. Na
mm,
kina totoka na kuta ndakilanga kuta o de nonra. Na wakambati ni yo wasu totoa. Sinindo esi biti totoa na esas moala. Esa when it comes to wakambati, that's us. So nobody beats asa when it comes to wakambati. Maybe that's why I'm always very particular. Uh, au sinikila na vavakula, yo renikila vinaka kwa vinaka, ke kwa sini vinaka. So when I want the mat, I say, I want it like this, me kula chibango, me ba som bango, And the na kanjibilibili, in the kilango, no to imbe na maramanita, So we should continue to preserve this and encourage our women. And I think education and enlightenment is part of preserving what is truly Fijian. And at the same time, maybe it could be the government responsibility to see a market for them to be able to sell their products.
mm.
Um, I don't know. That's just my thinking.
Yes, sir.
How can we betul nangon sa klan yung reda chicken na karatamba to na Facebook. I'm just wondering, are they all going to be sold? Or are
Yeah.
they going to go back home with that, right? So ladies,
Mm,
friends, if you're listening in to us, go down to the Vodafone arena, go buy those stuff. Let the women go back home with all the money and not any of those products. Mera volta kikede, right? I'm sure it can be used. Um, so, back to your question about the women of Kandavu, I must admit, I really not in touch closely with what their needs are. Um, but that's an area to explore. Um, because, in the islands, we know we have a lot of resources. Um, I think weaving to make quality mats, that's important because that's who we are. When you come into a Itoki house, right now we see, I mean, I'm guilty too. We come to Fijian houses, sandaridangana straw mats everywhere, right? Women, we weave. I have my home in Fiji. I admit, I've used straw mats during funerals, but I really want to have, and one of my home, I put it on Airbnb, and I want to make sure that all the rooms, no carpet, Fijian mat, Fijian mat, so that when tourists come to Fiji, they walk into a Fijian house. They know this is a Fijian house, Naimbe. And I'm very particular too with the mats. Um, and the other day, I'm also thinking of doing up my parents' home. How could I treasure the memories of my parents, my mother? So, dono gune, bono boskin tinango matuku, kondo tali. Um, So I asked her, Talina kanjibilibili, she does it. Singa Talina dodo, singa message mani kon sa taluj. Klako me vakame dabnedan van biskete, me crisscross wango na somo. Um, so to me, that's one way of me kind of preserving the memory of my mother. Make sure there's always dodo. My mother would weave. Katutolu sabu, she'll weave from wall to wall, which annoys us at times, but that's the way she weaves. Neto wale sang barundo ni kuna rede ni kambasu na imbi, matanana na tali. Um, so I mean, because I've lived away from Fiji. When I come to Fiji, I don't want to step on straw mats. I don't want to step on
You miss it,
carpet.
eh? You miss
Yes.
it as well. Yeah.
I want to walk into a Fijian house and no, this is a Fijian house, right? And here we are buying straw mats. Who are we making rich, right? Sorry, I cannot talk bad about another country, but you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Buying the
Yes.
straw mats, go and buy the Fijian dodo. So go to Vodafone, go buy your dodo this week, right? Um, or I mean, that's just how I feel. Uh,
Mhm.
and my daughters grow up here, and I was discussing with one of them, my grandson's mother. So, how do you think I should decorate Mbumbu's house? She's telling me all the ideas. She said, "Mom, you should decorate it with Fijian artifacts." So I know I have one of my female soldier friends, uh, Viti Nangasima. She's from Nandronga. I said, I need some kona kurni Viti.
Wow.
Uh, I reached out to another friend, Blue Lele, asked if she has contact me tali me sonairi mbuli, me lilom ni vale. Na imbe me kuni stromet me sabisao me mbukina na imbe kanjibilibili se dhodo bakando telionana. So I now get to appreciate that because I've lived out of Fiji. But I think if I just lived in Fiji, I don't want to use anything Fijian. We are these things that come from the Western world are very attractive. Straw mats, the decorations in the house, right? We have so many beautiful things. Like, you go to the museum, you see lots of nice things there. So I was so glad that I took my children to the Fiji Museum. It's small, but it's very meaningful, the things they saw inside there. I know there's a dress there made out of plastics, and that's the plastics they collected from all around the ocean, right, in the island. So I can't remember the exact information. But that's just what I think. Maybe our women
Mhm.
can push that idea that we could value our culture. And I like mats. It gets wet, I wipe it, sun it, it dries. The carpet, a lot of cleaning, right? And if you don't know how to clean the carpet, you walk into your house, it stinks. So why you want to use carpet in Fiji? It's warm weather. Just use the Fijian mat. But if you have carpet, then you really have to take good care of it, professional cleaning. And the kind of weather we have, some of the things don't do well in Fiji. Some furniture, some carpets, things like that. So stay with our summery stuff. Um, for the women in Kandavu, maybe not just Kandavu, Lau, Netasiri, everywhere around Fiji. Maybe that's one thing that we can take up that in this new year, every Fijian house, every house in Fiji have one Fijian dodo, no straw mats, right? So maybe
Totoka
I
talaga.
give you one challenge, right? Do that. So that when your family come home, they see Fijian mat in your house, right? Because kambasu dilivi, kuni imbitunga me whatever you call it. I mean, I know how to weave, I know how to dilivi, but when I come to Fiji, I call all my toto aunties, may dilivi. But that's just one little thing that I think makes an impact. There's a lot of things we can do as Fijian women. Like we should be really proud of who we are, what we have, our kind of food, our kind of artifacts that we have. But starts at home. Um, it doesn't have to be just a chief's house when you walk in and you see all the kandibili there. Um, every Fijian home must have a mat. Yan ngoni dak ni songo kinto ko te keda na imbir ribinak to dok ba na songo. Yan on to waling straw mat chiko. I don't know. That's just how I feel. Sorry if I sound judgmental.
No, this is great. This is a really good conversation, and particularly now when the expo is happening right now. So this is a good plug
Yes, go by
for
the
you.
Mets.
So wala sarang na maraw na maramay.
Mm,
Erti ko may Vodafone Rina. Ang
mm,
maraw talaga amelo na mutuko na may. Kila ni chuko na be sana may biti. Abi mo ni biti ko na kaya rakilite kina. Kumakato ko na bakan di bili-bili
mm,
na be matanggali itakataka au rongo da nya interview chiko marama na tao ana chiko misi samsabu ko talanga chiko talanga ko na expo na no na interview chiko gitu kuno na tao ana ni ker ni laku mai ni kako ni tunga ni tambaka na nya ka ke mamizaka dilinga. So that
mm,
really made me think of what you were saying that on how to preserve certain artifacts menonranga na marama from that particular region
right,
but ini
right,
tukul chuko ana Merala ko may rami tambaka, and then 2 weeks later, I see someone else, doing the same thing which I was doing.
mm,
So, kaya lang may na ulutangan ni na intellectual property,
right,
which is really important. And I think it's good that you raised that topic because artists and weavers,
mm,
massy makers, they all need to support one another.
right.
Kila lebo na muray na tikina no mutuko na maya. It really made me think of what Anna said when she was interviewed just yesterday. Na nonda bimbi ni nonda tago maka na nonda yawe na buna lak may kina na kago sa ambuli chukina na matubali do na artist. So you allow that artist to excel in that field and you just focus on your area and you just excel in that as well. So that was very interesting. I was thinking deeply about it.
Mm. Well, I didn't hear that interview, but that's quite concerning if
Yeah.
someone is raising that. Um, in this day and age of social media, competition is real. um, and maybe, for those of you who know the laws and the regulations that can protect people from, copyright laws, or what do you call it? Um, how can that be done in such a way where, you do you? Um, be proud of the handicraft work from where you come from. Eh? So if you start doing what other people are doing, then, like, just like we cannot all be tailors. So na dula dula, so kenda na singkla na dula dula, menda na bul bul. Ye kenda sa the kabe kenda nga na kartu the kabean. Like, find your niche. Eh? Find what you can do. I mean, I do flowers. I don't do mats like my mother. Uh, I do flowers, and I know that not not everyone who do flowers do the same thing. Eh? Um, in our floriculture circle in Fiji, every time someone arranges, you could already know who arranged those flowers, right? Um, Unfortunately, like I say, I see that even the quality of okay, that's Tobias. Tobias. Uh,
Tobias.
okay, it's fine. Momo's still talking. Okay. I'm on Bumbu duties, so my apologies, everyone. Um,
Jerusalem.
uh, the quality of the art.
Mm.
So you want to make the money, and at the same time you want to preserve the quality of the art. So for everyone who's doing something, na nomu dakinilinga mana sanava turang o tumekina, I think we should be proud of continuing that. Eh? So those are the traditional arts. Sangay chikuna nilinga, those contemporary ones. Na kesa kesa, na jewelry making. Tobias, honey, go wait there. I'm scared. Okay, come with me. Stay here. Okay. And so that's important. They're both important. And I think what that lady is saying that, they come and take pictures and they go and duplicate, maybe that's not fair, but, how do you stop that?
Mm.
Difficult to stop that. And I
Mm.
think as women, we should really support each other, right? If I'm doing jewelry, like, you know, go do something else. Or but it's difficult to control that, eh? So for that lady who's saying, don't just come and take pictures and go and copy it. um, just be the best at what you can do, eh? Just be the best at what you're doing. And I know I teach flowers, I teach floral art. People can come and see how I put this stem in and put this flower in. After I arrange, it's completely different from what they see, eh? Because that's me. When I'm arranging, my whole mind is going in there. If I'm in a good mood, the flowers come out really beautiful. If I'm not in a good mood, I can see the mistakes here and there that no one else sees it. So I would say there's two sides to consider. For the artist yourself, just be the best. No shortcut. Don't cut corners. Do the best you can, and you'll still have customers who'll come for the best quality. And those who don't want to, who want to cut corners, there will be customers for them. So I wouldn't really worry about my competitors because
Mm.
I compete with myself every day. I don't compete with any other woman, with anybody else. So I would think for those women who are worried about copycats, yes, it's a concern, but continue to do the best. Give your best in the quality of what you produce, and you will never run out of customers. People will always come to you. And if they can't afford your price, do a payment arrangement with them. Let them pay little by little so they can afford what you have, right? Don't just turn them away completely. Um, and save up to get the quality stuff that you want. But to you asking me how can we help, I really don't know there's no straight answer.
Mm.
How can we stop the copycats? But the
Mm.
copycats are always there.
Mm.
But for you, if you know this is my stuff, right? When I do flowers, or if I do any other things, then I know this is me. I give it my best shot that no one else can. Even if I teach what I'm doing, after they finish arranging, I look at it, they didn't beat me, right? Because that's my area of expertise. And people
Mm.
will choose. Do they want my area of expertise or they want the lower quality? Okay, if this is $100 and you bring $50, no, you can't have this. Go take the $50, right? So you have to be an artist with an attitude, be a proud artist, be very proud of what you're doing. Don't care about the people who come and take pictures and copy. Maybe we can ask the organizers, like, no pictures, no
Mm.
pictures, just the official pictures from the government when they advertise it, formally on the government page. But everybody else who walks in, I mean, they do it here. You go into some places, they don't allow you to take pictures when they have their art.
Mm.
So that could be an idea. The
That
organizers
could be an
tell,
idea,
keep
right?
your cell phones in your pocket. No one is allowed to take any, because people will come and take close pictures of your work. Okay?
Mm.
Maybe that's one way we can do it, to ask the organizers, make sure that people don't come and take pictures.
Mm.
Unless if they're buying the stuff, then they just take it and go and take as many as
Uh,
they want.
unless they are buying, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, so Vinaka Bali, when yeah, it was really awesome, to hear her interview. I will share her interview with you. So to all our marami ni video ni Marong Tikumai, some awesome conversation, very raw.
Mm.
Conversations that I'm having now with Amele. I hope that many of you will take it on board, and hopefully, there will be something that we can be here to support our women, support our artists. And again, na kautuko na Amele, let's work together, to all of us who are watching, to make sure that our women don't go back with what they brought.
Yes. Go back and
Tasanga, we can tuloy chuko balangi to empay saya ni Viti. Empay sa meron ni Voli, renli kawibale, si Dona Songo, si Taptale to nakakabati ko may Viti. Iyon, da bitokod, doon nakabibi.
mm.
Totoka saranga marutak vale vo Amele na mutukun maya na the key points, For our artists, the market for them, the consistency, to making sure that they keep the quality of the work that they do. And we are here to support it. I'm sure that Chikortona Ministry of Women, Chikortona Tamarakitoke, Chikortona Fiji Museum, Chikortona Fiji Arts Council. So they are experts in that area that can be able to help bring back the balance. I really like the point you mentioned, the balance of living right now, in this contemporary world, but also at the same time preserving what is unique in the places that where we come from. Wow, Totoka Saranga. And also one thing I really like is your example in Nepal, how you worked with embassies. So anything is possible. Because if you're organizing an event and you are, running short of ideas, always ask for help. There will be one other person or two others who can come on board, to help support you. And again, the embassies are there. Sometimes they have budgets that are there for community projects. Tuki tuki, kana dola. Kere kere, kana soli. Listening up in was in Kalo, Kakunyalo line, and I think some of the lessons you've just shared, Amele, be grateful. Be grateful with the talent that you have. Wow. Men, ni dortal nongo rin tostal mitul tal na sa rong vinaka o iro mata kana parong chukmin ko sa talitak. Toka tal na ti mix tal na romboy tam tek tal na ban keke. But na vital nongo vi New York sa kay kami na chakamay. Ginagawa sa Ramel, I think we're coming to the end of our Talanoa wrapping up. Now, you've shared some really wonderful gems, and you've remembered your mom, your grandma. But I know you said that there were other aunties, Vertonomune, and other women who impacted your life. Maybe I'll give you the time to remember them.
Yeah, vinakwale Dr. T. Let me just see. I noted down some of my notes here. Growing up, I always had maternal relatives in the house. I have, and in those days, in the Baisulwango, in the Duritumba, Clara Bostakumena Tumbunda, Rabostakumena Tinanda, which is something my girls miss. They don't have that. Like I was brought up like that. They told us, "Meu dombuni nga levu tu, sember nyu le dur na matevalu, gale kochi na droniul ni sa dur na matevalu." So, things like growing up, I used to think, oh, my mother is such an old-fashioned lady. But now when I look back, I'm really grateful for the way she raised me. My mother comes from a very traditional background, and her traditional status, I think, also has an impact in the way she raised us. Kilandando babulithi, ninda via tu da kabango menda tarando na kaidake, kerkere, that mutaram dangos, and the tarama and the dambiran, the waombo ombo, the voisuli rabis. First time I wore pants when I joined the army, I had to wear pants. Then got my hair cut. And then, living away overseas, when it's winter, you need to wear pants to keep yourself warm. I, with all these aunties raised around, I was raised around them. Wakasamtak dona nanungu nonane nungu na kosinkwe builusi tona lubiana tongu nei chukurna irna nonanale lai nungu na me matuku. And of course, every time you come home, they're all there, but the weaving is going on, right? Rando talivata, so all the Levus, all the Nalilai, my mother's younger sister, who was really like a mother to me, Nalilai Nasi. So I was really close to her. And that in that generation, Klakiandongo, Wakakanda sa more what you call, what's the word? It's just your own family, right?
Nuclear
But
family, eh?
yeah, nuclear family.
Mhm.
But in our parents' generation, it was more like the extended family, right? They raised you, right? So, like if my mother disciplines me, that's my mother. And then if my Levu says the same, I get discipline from my Levu, my mother, everybody, right? So sinirendavuki dalam, but we have a lot of mothers, right? And we gave them the respect, even respect them more than your own mother, right? But that's something that we lack nowadays, that we are not raised like that anymore, right? Kivkanda sukangabangona vuli. I remember we can't be wearing uniforms in town the quickest we can get home because you are identified by the uniform you're wearing. If you get disciplined in school, when you get home, sangirochmo teacher, the me tan, the kuita tale vale, right? Nowadays, the teachers can't even talk to your, our human rights and whatever basic rights, everything rights that we have nowadays. As we're raising children in a very indisciplined society, in a lawless society, right? That's the challenge we have. So my mother didn't have to do much because my Nalevo would say something, my Ne would say something, right? My Talev would say something, my Talile would say something. So everybody helped to raise you. Nowadays, you grow more white hair unless you are putting on hair dyes to keep it black because you're raising your children by yourselves. And can you imagine? I'm raised traditionally, and now I come and live in New York, where I have to raise my 4 daughters here. I don't have that help, right? Only God helps me, and my knees are all scratched because that's the only way you go. You on your knees a lot of times because you don't have to pray for your children because you don't have that support. So that's really what I miss. Yang onango kenda dangi rongo the mentua nanda nei me vosteki kenda sinber sa la kona tinanda li vos vostal nanda nia fa vostaki na lubengu. So things have changed, no? So sometimes, it makes me sad. I don't know how we can fix that because I know, when I was raised by my mother, a lot of things I learned from her. She was very industrious. Kana natamango ando sokutunga ba live ni tuna navy, libungana wana lakutu. And we didn't have much. The salary was not enough to raise 5 children, and 5 children plus cousins who always come and stay with us. So, my mother used to go to Nora and buy the 99 cents material and sew one pattern for all of us, me and my cousins, all the same pattern. So we all go to church the same material. Um, 99 cents material. She sewed our clothes, and that's how we dressed. But now, my daughters, if I buy something, they don't wear it. I know they don't like it, right? So sometimes my husband and I talk that our children don't know how to struggle. They've been denied the opportunity to struggle because we can afford what our parents couldn't afford for us. So it's good and it's bad, right? Um, and I know my mother influenced me a lot, my mother's relatives, in the way I learned culture. um, and in the allowance culture too, the women are always the boss, right? So I think I'm more influenced by my mother's relatives. Uh, my mother used to know how to dress. She was my first teacher. She was my first designer. My mother would go to buy, a $2 material, meter material, or 99 cents a meter material. She sewed it. She chose her pattern, the color combination, match na kiana sulira. I used to say, my mother was not well educated, but she dressed well, right? For every occasion, for church, for, Songo Vavanua. Um, there was something about these women in that generation. They had class, you know? Rando fufulu, boy vinaka, nonre koti koti, and they just carried themselves with grace, right? That's that generation. And I know growing up, you just have to look at one of your aunties, you know what they're saying already, right? Maybe something wrong with me. And dan do dur me bango. Pasang dorong nga. Kaya mundo, kusa coach tu bagay bay. Waka kusa buka kambuni nga tu Andremo. Those kind of comments, eh? Um, Kendala kabango the semberni duritum basandan jike babi the sangavul before you step out, eh? Um, so you know, I thank God for the way my mother raised me. And believe me, when I was growing up, it was not really fun because I thought I had the most wicked and the most strict mother. boys would call and my mother would just hear one boy's voice, put the phone down, right? But now my daughters go to sleep with a iPhone in their hands, right? I don't know who they're talking to, what they're talking about. So I just sometimes feel as a mother, I have no control. But my mother controlled everything in our family, what we eat, and I remember when my father used to sail, se lele nei lavo, kitondo lako wei tui na daka mbutu kai koso, na le daka, o le dava na ni kango. Kaya quando tui na nuku, na dore da tolu tawana matana, na iwa de, eh?
Amore. Ia.
Kona kando kambi tu na ndongo, na dava na njio, eh?
Dia.
Kitondo le dhambuka, kitondo tita vioka, tembele, so that we could have food to eat. And then my grandfather, who was very well to do in Totoya, every boat that comes, na sinema na kiria, na tangandolitana, na ubi, kwa taratu na ceiling. And we used to wake up in the morning. My mother used to cook yams. Kla, momaki na mataklilay. Oh, I used to want to die. Momaki again. But I want to eat the bread that our neighbors are eating, right? I don't want the ubi. But I didn't know that ubi is more nutritious than the bread. But raised up in Suva. Now when I think back, I said, wow, I'm grateful. I had that experience of my grandparents, my aunties. So I was raised by a community. Um, and now when I think back, I said, my goodness, my mother used to do all that. Ni kitondo kesa kesa, kesa curtains, me bultaki. Kitondo tali shopping bags. And we compete, me, my two brothers, every week. Tali tali kito. Friday, my mother would put me on the bus, mulak na makete, misali drop take na shopping bags. I pick the money, first thing, my mother's instructions, woli na kokonda. Then I get back on the bus home, right? So things like that, those kind of experience. And now when I think back, like, now I do a business. I think back of how my mother used to be so industrious that we didn't have to depend just on my father to make ends meet. Because my father's salary was not much, eh? And couldn't afford to pay for everybody and everything. So that's what my mother used to do. Tete, kito kana nga nakakana senivale, kito lako waitui. She used to just sew for us. And we used to do kesa kesa curtains, meboltaki. I remember those days in Nandera, we used to do klana taya, kona taya makawa. Yeah. Kome na taya, mingi vuki na taya kochi kochi, and we paint it to sell. So I think that industrious side of my mother, I still have a bit of that. And nowadays people just want to so we can salak nga kerkere, but there's a lot of things you can do to make ends meet. Whatever little thing you're doing, irna irna nonda bulang irtuiviti. Dari dira ira sini tiko wale na volteki bin na volteki lakari na daba nga voltaki, right? And they're saving and they're selling something. Okay, to sang to sa wawanga to kerkere. And my father had only one sister. And I recall que usando dunruv me vale me wastaki. So the best place to run away to is my father's sister's house. Kito bibol ka stongar to chiko now kito chiko inandobi road inander. Ni sa was taking okila semberito ng belit yo sa ngutung tuwa bini. Nya dengan bini. Ang kasar na resi nunggu ne ani tamata. Sang kasar na resi gidola ka bini na kando talitaka. She cooks rice and she puts butter and she puts milk and sugar. So that was my treat. I would enjoy that. Kesanga tavu na pancake, va chamu vinaka. Kesanga na chamu kwa na mbita na suka, gelomba kin na moli, misangi peke na pancake, dosar na kana mbiliti sa soko va sudu vinaka. So I remember those, childhood days. And those are nice, eh? Over here, like if my kids get upset, who do they go to, right? So at least we're happy, we have our eldest daughter who's married. There's a house there that her younger sisters, Merlako kinongo do bakasam takaisa, me growing up, Ni la banga bango di ben ron ko brother di ben ko tatale bo kan sila. O ya ndo di ben ne now sa cool down no tan te gelis tal mai eh. Kasi ang nangir mo ni eh. Yeah. Laboran ruchi ka nangone. Ona ben ruchi ka ba chilelia. So my father knows that I'm there. Eh. Taliba tuk tukikya. So like that kind of support that you were raised with. Eh. Uh, everybody can teach you. Everybody can discipline you. Maybe that's something that we miss in our culture today, that we don't have that. And there are other women too who influence me, who are not my relatives. Women that I worked with, teachers in school. I remember I had some strict teachers. Mrs. Levu, Mrs. Paretti, Mrs. Levu. Oh my goodness! Like these teachers, you see them, you want to already start running, eh? But they discipline now. We are good friends, eh? I recall, Mr. Ngonilev was the um, head of secretarial studies at FIT, and my father told me after I finished Form 6, kuni levu lindona puli me ndende because you have to find a job to help me. Buki yao merangara binondra buli na tadim. Mpangarangan dona kaurani levu the metotolo so I can start working. So I went to Fijian Affairs, got a scholarship to go to FIT, and the head of school was Mrs. Ngonilevu. So everybody knows who Mrs. Ngonilevu is. And, I love this lady very much, but those are the disciplinary ladies that we have. And you look at them, the way they dress, the way they carry themselves with class, with grace. That's how we learn, right? It rubs off us. Okay? And I recall when I was in FIT, I used to be so scared of her. And then when I went to a route church, thinking, I've left Mrs. Level, then I realized she was around in there. It's still more like I'm still in school. But we've become good friends, and these are women that influence your life. And then when I went to join the military, I met some amazing young women. Right now, it's 37 years ago that we joined the military. And out of that first female officers, there were 7 of us, first 7 female officers. Right now, we only have 3 that's still serving. One of them is Colonel Siliva Bananalang Ndrovesi. She's here in New York as our military and police advisor. We also have Captain Ray Seeley, also from Rewa. She's our dentist, still serving. And we also have Captain Rokobudhango, Rocky. She's also a captain, serving with our Black Rock camp in, is it Nandi? Right?
Yes.
So, they remain good friends, and we joined the army when we were younger. But until today, that sisterhood carries on with us. For the 7 of us, it was, I remember, it was Second Lieutenant Anna Tudakau, also from Kandavu, Basi Wonombalavu, Carlene Naruma, Basi Ting Namuka, Kambara, and from Nandronga, Vulakoro, Litea Vulakoro from Vonolevu, Silivan Robesi from Rewa, Leisani Kinikini, Netasiri, and myself, right? And Amelia Tandu. So unfortunately, three of them have passed away. Out of that 7, Kalva Banalalangi Siliva, who's still serving right now. And then we have 2 other captains who are promoted through education, and they deserve that promotion. They're still serving from that first lot. And myself, and I think Kara Naruma, who's now Mrs. Serevi, we've left and still very good friends with these women. So those are some of the things that some of the women that shape your lives, right? And the women you work with. And right now, you asking me that question. I'm now here in New York as the as the wife to the permanent representative to the United Nations. And you know what really excites me about this International Women's Day? Because it started right here in New York, right? If you think about it, the history of the women, International Women's Day. So the background, there was a great unrest and debate going on women's issues and the women's oppression. So it was 1908 that there was a march here in New York City. They marched to from the Union Square to Greenwich Village and to the City Hall, where they went to present their demands. So I listed down here what their demands were. So this was led by a Socialist Party of American Women. They wanted equal pay for equal work. They want the right to vote, and they want shorter working hours, reduced from 60 hours a week. They wanted better working conditions, and they also wanted more consultation, with women's issues. So that was way back in 1908. So for the United Nations, I think for the first time in 1975, these are some of the little history behind the International Women's Day. So it was marked for the first time by the United Nations. Then in December 1977, the General Assembly adopted a resolution proclaiming a United Nations Day for Women's Rights and International Peace to be observed on any day of the year by member states. And then 1996, the UN announced their first annual theme, right? So after that, there's been themes every year. So 1996, celebrating the past, planning for the future. 1997 was Women at the Peace Table. 1998, Women and Human Rights. 1999, World Free of Violence Against Women, and so on. Right? So this year, I was just checking with my husband. The theme for the United Nations International Women's Day this year is for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. And then just to go back onto the questions that you sent me, just came to my mind. The roles that I'm involved in, that I play at the moment. So firstly, I'm an entrepreneur with a business line. The company is called Market America, and what I really like about that company is, the focus that we have on wellness. And I always see, I have a lot of friends, a lot of people who even younger than me. And I look at them, I feel sad, right? Um, a lot of times, food kills us, right? I'm guilty too. I love food. Please don't judge me. I'm not that perfect. I need to lose weight. I need to do better with myself. It's always every 1st of January. That's part the top of my list of goals is to lose weight, right? And then come December, I haven't even lost, or maybe I've gained more, right? So these are some of the things that I love about this company, Market America, because first of all, it challenges me to stay healthy. Um, and our body, I just came back from one of our amazing convention, and one of the speakers went on stage. Remember, this is not a tradition. This is not a religious convention. It's a business convention. And what really hit me was what this man, Gary Brecker, said. He said, uh, would you open up your house to any thief to come inside your house and to steal anything from your house? We said, no. And he said, so why would you eat the food that's not good for you? Why would you drink or, consume anything that's not good for you? Because your body is the temple of God. That really hit me, right? For someone standing on stage, of course, he must be a Christian for him to say that. Um, so, this is our body, a gift that God gives us to house our souls and facilitate the work that God wants us to do. Right? So, if we are not healthy, right, how can we do the work well? Right? The mother Mary, right? Jesus' mother responded to the angel that announced that she will be the mother of Christ with the words, I am the handmaiden of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to thy will. So for me, what I feel is that summarizes a woman's role, right? And responsibilities in life, in whatever field, work, career or passion, that profession you are involved in, we are engaged. I see women as the handmaids of the Lord. Eh? So for me, physical wellness is important because with long life, you want good health, you want longevity. So apart from doing flowers, I can see that I can also be an agent of change, agent of longevity, agent of good health. Right? But then, I should be the product of the product. So I should also lose weight. I should look good. I should feel good. I should don't have any knee pain, no back pain, right? All these things, right? I can only talk passionately about what I do because I'm experiencing it first, right? And then my second role, I know you asked me all these questions. And my second role is as the spouse of the Fiji's permanent representative to the United Nations. Forgive me, this part I will read because I don't want to offend anyone. In this role, I support the ambassador in showcasing and advocating for Fiji. I'm a member of the PR spouse, all the ambassadors to the United Nations, they're called the permanent representatives. We have about 190 countries that operate here in New York. So it's multilateral and also bilateral. Okay? To be an ambassador in New York, like these are all the countries that you're dealing with. Whereas, if you're ambassador in another country, it could be just bilateral because you're an ambassador to just one country. So at the UN, you are dealing with all the member states, right? So I'm part of the permanent representatives or the ambassadors' wives network, and we use this platform to advocate and support the work of the Fiji's ambassador, right? In order to show Fiji's culture and values. Sometimes I think about it, I could easily take advantage of the fact that he's my husband, right? So I have to be very careful where I play the role as he's my husband and he's the representative of Fiji. So sometimes when I post on Facebook, before I could just easily say blah, blah, blah. Now I'm very conscious of the fact that, yes, he's your husband, but this is an official capacity where he's representing the people of Fiji. So if I disrespect him, I'm also disrespecting the people he represents, the president of Fiji, the prime minister of Fiji, the government of Fiji, and the people of Fiji, right? So it's always a very fine line that I have to tread, right? And then in my role of supporting him, you are showcasing Fiji, both the traditional and the modern values of Fiji. So wives play a very critical and a major part. Sometimes I'm surprised that spouses of ambassadors and leaders back home are not encouraged or recognized, right? So for me, that's something that I would like to see more, maybe from the government side or from that the wives of the leaders, they are a team. You cannot just be saying minister this person. Minister goes home to a wife, to a woman, right? And we are a team. And if the wife did not treat him well at home, everybody else in the office feels it, right? That's for sure. It happens like that. So wives have a major part to play. Also, recognize it should be recognized that the role they play is important. When people of other countries see that the Fiji ambassador and his spouse are working jointly to further the interests of Fiji in both formal and informal settings, what happens? Naturally, they respect our country, right? I remember when my husband was first appointed, he said to me, Amele, you have to watch what you say. You have to be careful what you do. Everywhere you go, it's no longer Filippo and Amele. Everywhere you go is Fiji. So I I remember the day um, the day they brought the flag to place the flag in our house. It was a bit an emotional experience for me. Ni rede ni sa kau mena kuila ni Viti, me sa ambiulom ni netoval. And to me, that just kind of changed the whole I kind of felt like dona dolo dolo lips biu may tambangu ni sa redha na kul ni viti ni sa command. And when you come from the military, you understand the importance of carrying the flag, right? The only time that flag goes down if you've surrendered or you've given up. So every morning when I wake up, I see the picture of the president and the prime minister sitting in my house, and the flag of the United Nations and the flag of Fiji. It does something to me. You know, it, it's uh, it's very it transformed me to be to walk cautiously, to walk with pride. I'm representing the people of Fiji. And I recall we went to an event where the Singapore ambassador's wife was very influential in that group. And when she handed over to Kuwaiti ambassador's wife, the Singapore ambassador came to say a speech to thank his wife. I was really touched to see that. He came and he said, most of the time, my wife has been the ambassador for Singapore more than me, you know. So, we come from a patriarchal society, and sometimes things, people get invitation cards, and only the husband is invited, and the wives are not invited in Fiji, right? So what are you trying to say? Like, we want to preserve marriage, we want to preserve the family, you want to raise women's issues, but practically, are we really doing it intentionally, or we just conveniently ignore all this, right? Um, and it taught me, like when I first received an invitation from another ambassador and the wife, and I saw, the permanent representative and so, and Madame so and so. I said, "Oh my God, this, I can't take this role lightly. This is too much for my brain to comprehend, right?" So when you serve your people, it has to be you're all in or you don't, right? This is not where I come in to be. It's no longer about me. So it's about the people that you represent, right? So, my husband was just reminding me, the role of spouses is very important. One example was Eleanor Roosevelt, right? We know Eleanor Roosevelt very well here in America, the wife of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. She was a tireless advocate for the human rights and social justice, right? So we have her to thank for the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In Fiji, I recall when our troops first got deployed to the UN, United Nations peacekeeping, it was the spouse of the Governor General at that time who created the Lady Thakombau Fund that provided welfare supplies for our troops, providing Yangona and other essentials that was sent to Lebanon and Sinai as well, right? Lady Lelea. So it became the Lady Thakombau Welfare Fund. That's how it started, right? So a lot of things the men cannot do because they are busy, right? So it's a very interesting position to be in, but can be draining, can be stressful um, if you don't work together as a team. I had to quickly learn uh, to manage the official side of it and the personal side of it. It's a lot. And sometimes, we should be forgiving of ourselves. We're not always perfect. We always don't do well. Uh, but, this is about, we have all our ambassadors out there and their wives. We need encouragement too, right? We give so much, but we get criticized a lot. We get gossiped about a lot. For me, I'm fine. I've been married to a controversial man for a very long time. So people who talk about us and gossip about us, it's normal to me. But we have some ambassadors' wives out there who need support, encouragement. So for those who know how to do things well, like don't stand by and criticize, lend a helping hand, right? Privately message them, maybe you could do this, maybe you could I'm very fortunate and blessed because I've had had the advantage of, being trained in the army. I recall when my husband went to the United Kingdom, uh, for the command staff college. The women too, we had our training, right? How to entertain and how to receive guests and all these things, right? I've been through all that. But believe me, when we went back to Fiji, my first dinner at home was just a couple, Brigadier Thorpe and Mrs. Thorpe. I think I cooked for one whole village. And that's the first time I cooked for some. The next day I had to call my mother, if people want food, this I live to go on a kakana. So those are the things. And I'm also, always like to, I'm a silent learner, a fast learner. Every time we go somewhere, I'm always observing um, how I can challenge myself to be better. And for the women out there who are in the same position as myself, uh, wives of leaders, believe me, we get criticized all the time. That's okay, right? Everybody criticizing you, they cannot be in your shoes. So don't worry about the criticism. Those who care about you will pray for you, will privately message you and advise you. So to me, like I have women who do that to me, who are very close to me. I don't have a big inner circle, very small, maybe just few that I can be very honest with. And like last month, we went to the Christian embassy. They organized an event for diplomats' wives. And one of the guest speaker who spoke, she said, you women are in a profession where you have to be smiling all the time. And most of the time you have a storm raging inside, right? It could be professional, it could be personal, it could be a marriage issue, right? I'm not perfect. My marriage is not perfect. My family is not perfect. But hey, you've been called to do something, do it the best you can. Life is too short. You're not going to be here forever. So, right now, this is where I am. Let me do it the best way I can. And that's for all of us women, wherever you are. Never look down on yourself. Right? Do your best. And if you don't know, be humble to ask. Right? You see things and you don't want to ask because you think people will criticize you. No, and we have a job, right? Now I'm over 50, right? I have earned it to talk to younger women, to teach the younger women, right? So if you're over 50, you have the right to start teaching because who else will teach our younger generation? So we've earned it, right? Our mothers are not there anymore. So who else will do it? It's us. You, Dr. T, myself, all our educated women in Fiji. We have a lot of well-educated, well-to-do women. I'm very proud of our small country. We have a lot of women doing great work in Fiji, and here at the UN, a lot of women and men from Fiji come through the mission. I always hear, great stories about what they do. I had no idea about a lot of NGOs in Fiji. So we got a lot to be grateful for. And most times like you, Dr. T, you're a professional. So first of all, you're a mother, right? Well, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a sister, you're a daughter. These are all levels of different relationships. And then we have friends, right? And our friends are not all the same. Like I've learned, I cannot place all my friends in the same category, right? Some of my friends belong to category 1. Some of my friends belong to category 2. Some belong to category 3. And my cousins, my sisters, right? Same thing. My aunties. Because everybody cannot walk in your path. If you try to get everybody to walk in your path, oh my God, you'll just be stressed out and die of immature death. So if you quickly learn how to compartmentalize your friendships and your relationships, you'll make it, you'll survive, right? And my only secret is, I fall back on my faith every now and then. When things are going tough, when I can't talk to anyone else, and most of the times I can't even say things to my husband because I feel like he's got enough on his head already. Thank God that in the in the capacity he's in, he's got helpers around him in the office. I have to talk to I talk to the staff, I talk to the driver. So a lot of times we do things I can't even, I don't even have time because he's busy to talk with him. Then I talk with other people. Then maybe when he comes home in the evening, we talk. So These are the challenges we women deal with. And if we're not careful, our first priority is our responsibility to our family. And if we can sort that out, we can balance that, you can deal with everything else, right? My husband always tells me, everywhere else I go, I get attacked. But I want to come to my home and feel safe and be myself. So if we cannot provide that home to our children, to our husbands, to come to a safe space, we are heading for trouble, right? Not to say that I'm perfect, right? I'm a very hot-headed person too. I lose it a lot of times, and that's one of the things too that when you know yourself, you know your weakness, you know your partner's strength. So work on the strength, because a lot of times we can focus on the weakness. Kadamboting na buru-buru, right? So those are just some of the things that I learned, and unfortunately, sometimes for me, I had to learn along the way. My mother taught me a lot of things, and she also did not teach me a lot of things. So thank God for women that God placed in my life. I know when we lived in Jerusalem, there was this woman from Sudan. She was a well-educated Sudanese woman who was also a government minister in her country. Her husband was also a government minister, but because of the war in Sudan, they were Christians. So they ran away from Sudan and came to the US, and the husband worked in the United Nations. So in Jerusalem, he was the head of UNICEF, and my husband was the head of security. So Auntie Mary, graceful lady. I thank God that that woman came into my life. I'm young, eh? So a lot of things I don't know. So one thing she taught me, Amele, never be late. So I still have to improve on that part. She said, you can never afford to be late. That's one thing. Secondly, wherever you go, right? Wherever you go, when they see you, they know you are Philippos Madame. So that's how you carry yourself. Huh? And I see this one, she carried herself with grace. She dressed well. Oh my goodness, I learned a lot from Auntie Mary. And until today, her husband is, unfortunately, she passed away due to cancer. But her husband, our children call him grandpa. So if sometimes you see on Facebook someone is calling himself grandpa to us, that's him. So he was the head of UNICEF, came here, worked in the UNICEF here in New York. So those, everywhere you've gone, God places a woman in your life to nurture you, right? To water you. So you also have to be aware of the people that come into your life. If you reject everybody, you'll never learn anything. You have to be humble to accept advice, right? And no competition. I don't have any competitor. The only person I compete with is myself, right? Once you pick that up, be you, right? Don't worry about what other people say because they're not putting food on your table, right? Haters will always be haters. And sometimes if you speak the truth, you'll be hated. That's the price of of telling the truth, of speaking the truth. And that's okay, right? I can live with that. If I say the truth and somebody doesn't like me, I can live with that. So be you, do you, for young women, we are less than 1 million people, the Fijians. So young Fijian women, do you be proud of being a woman? Sometimes my husband spent 23 years in the United Nations and all these women's rights and all these different kinds of rights, I'm a woman, this equal rights. And sometimes I find we are our own worst enemy. The more we push these things, the more we are pressed down. But if you know how to play the card as a woman, we are very powerful, right? It's just like a husband and wife relationship, right? My husband is the head of the house. If I know how to play the cards right, I get my way all the time. Right? So you have to know how to play the card. Don't We are kingmakers, we are homemakers. Let's not forget that we are already powerful. We just have to know how to use it right. Right? Play the cards right. Being a woman, be gracious, be loving, be caring in your acts, in your deeds, in your words, and always speak the truth. right? You never compromise the truth. That's one thing I learned. Never compromise the truth. Because if you do, then you just never know when to stop lying. And always cheer for another woman, right? Every time I go on Facebook, if I see one woman doing something, I comment, I praise the person because you never know what that woman is going through that day. That woman could be feeling so low and comparing herself. Social media, everybody's comparing ourselves to somebody else. And social media has really affected a lot of people. People go on social media, scroll, scroll, scroll. They're looking at everybody else, right? Um, you know, New York, no one knows you. Nobody cares what you wear. I'm always jeans and t-shirts. But the moment my husband became the ambassador, I started looking for Suluira and for Sulu and Chamba that I never wear in New York. But because I have to take my role seriously representing Fiji, right? Because nobody else dressed like a Fijian woman. So I have to dress like one. Uh,
Mm, mm, uh,
Otherwise, I just like to wear my pants and my t-shirt. And off I go in New York, no one cares, no one knows you. So it's fine, right? I like living here. I have my privacy. But in Fiji, you walk there, everybody knows you. You look in the mirror before you walk out of the house. Sometimes our culture is so, it's a death trap, right? It's like a
mm,
cobweb of, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. You didn't come to my tevu, I won't come to your tevu. If you didn't come to my mother's funeral, I won't come to your mother's funeral. Like, come on, what's this? Yet we say we are Christians, right?
mm,
So, I don't know what the
mm,
message to give the women today, but I'm just sharing my story. Like, be you, do you,
mm,
be happy with who you are, wear whatever you want to wear, be the trend, right? Don't copy anybody's fashion. You create your own fashion. Let people follow you. Like when my kids are watching TV, I say, why are you watching TV? They're making their money. You go make your own money, right? So these are the things that we have to encourage each other. Fijian women, I had a comment someone passed to my husband said, Fijian women are changing nowadays. They speak, they're not quiet. I don't know, maybe because I was being talkative, that's why they passed that comment. But um, I want to speak, directly to women, to wives of those in positions, either traditionally in the church, in the Vanua, in government. We are the mothers of that office, of that organization, right? You cannot be talking about the people that work for your husband. Those are your people. Those are your children. You take care of them. Um, I cannot be doing that. Then I'm just, shooting myself in the foot. These are the people there that God sent me to enable me and my husband to do our work well. So you cannot be jealous of your husband's secretary. You cannot be jealous of the people working for your husband. These are some of the things to, we have to learn in this kind of positions that you need to empower those people that work for your husband instead of competing with them. They are not your competitors. You're the one. Let's say I'm the boss's wife. These are not my competitors. These are my children, my sisters. I should love them. I should work with them. And tomorrow we are going to have a light lunch in the office. I messaged my husband. I said, "What are you doing for International Women's Day?" He said, "Oh, you already." I said, "Yes, you need to host lunch for the women that work for you and for all the Fijian women that live here in New York and work in the United Nations. So tomorrow we're having a light lunch in the office, right? So you need to appreciate the people that work for you. I mean, I know I've worked for some bosses and their things were not so good. And I know in the different places that my husband has worked, I've always tried to keep my distance. I don't want to be the kind of wife that goes and, overwhelmingly want to be the boss because I'm not the boss. It's my husband who's the boss. But in this particular capacity, I become the mother, right? I become the helper. So I can no longer stand aside and watch. I step in to help. I mean, I let them do their professional work, what they're paid to do, what they are good at doing. That's not for me to go and poke my nose into the professional side of the office, but my job is to be in the supporting role, right? Provide help and advice if I can. I have young women now working in the Fiji mission. Um, I love working with young people because they have no agendas. They just want the work done, right? And I see them like my own children because I have four already. So That's how we should treat young people that are thrown into our path. We work with them, we train them, right? Privately, when we talk, I said, no, you can't do that. You have to do this. No, this is how we're going to do it. And they're very receptive. So it works both ways, right? So I learned from the older women, and now it's my turn to empower women. That's, we talk about women empowerment. Uh, I'm not a doctor with all those fancy, or what you call those complicated terms, Oxford English, but I know in my capacity there are things that we can do, empower each other through the way we treat each other, the way we care about each other. So again, this year we already saw the theme for the Women's Day this year about women empowerment again, right?
Mhm.
So we hear this all the time, but how can in your own little way, right? Maybe that's a question you can ask.
Yes.
What's one good exercise that you can do is like have an index card, right? Write down your weakness on one side. That's your setback, right? What pulls you back? What makes you not you? Why are you not growing? Write it all on one side. And then on the other side, you can write there, what's your comeback, right? How are you going to overcome that maybe laziness or maybe procrastination, um, and then do things to empower. I mean, I don't have a master's or anything fancy like that. Not that I have anything against it. I just didn't go to school to
Mm.
do all that because my father couldn't pay for my
Mm.
education. But you know what I do? I still can learn nowadays. You read a book, you go online, and there's so much to learn. It's readily available, not like before. Everyone has a phone, everyone has a computer, and there's books everywhere that's been written for us, specifically for us women, to learn, to grow, and to influence others. Dr. T, let me give it back to you. I've talked too much.
Oh, this is just amazing. Na Levu ni comments sa Lakmingo. So many comments. Thank you so much. And also our men, for our brothers who are joining us today. Vinaka Vaka Levu, I'm reading all your names in here. Amele and I just wanted to take this time to thank all of you for taking the opportunity just to sit and listen to Amele. And what a wonderful sharing that we have just done. You know, the many hats that she wears, with her business, Market America, as a wife of the ambassador here in New York for the United Nations, and she wears many other hats. But she has shared with us some amazing lessons that all of us can take away. Wa bini binaksarva lewa mele, umaro takina sarvaka lew, na nomo may dambit to no may veiwasei tu. Nilimu mo nga. Without knowing, we all traveled to Jerusalem without you knowing. We went to Nepal. Before we went on live today, Amele took me to Cuba. And I was so curious about Cuba because last week they went there and she told me how she packed her bag. Maybe you can tell us that story. Ausa Marotekina. And thank you, Amele, for being such a wonderful, mentor and, wife and sister and auntie, and for being there for our students in Cuba. Just tell us a little bit about Cuba before I know Tobias wants you now. Tobias Wawa.
It's okay. Well, actually, we went to Cuba to so that the ambassador could go and present his credentials. Right? We are affiliated with Cuba, so he's the Fiji's non-resident ambassador to Cuba. Um, we have some, when we first started in this role, there was about 14 students in Cuba. It started off from our previous government that they had a kind of an exchange with Cuba. They provided scholarship for our doctors, our medical students, and Fiji pays for the allowance. Of course, it's all diplomatic relations. There's things that Cuba also wants from us. And they not only provide scholarships to Fiji, to the Pacific Islands. And one of the things that they told me is that Cuba has some of the very best doctors, right, in the world. They train some of the best doctors. And the doctors that get trained in Cuba, they work very well in rural areas because Cuba doesn't have much. Um, because of the US sanction on Cuba, that really makes things difficult for Cuba. So America cannot, they cannot import from America, they cannot export. So even when they want to import goods into Cuba, they have to send it the other way around, maybe to some of the other countries like Mexico and all. And then from there, then they can import it into Cuba. So, things are not readily available. And I remember when we were getting ready to go, my husband was warning me already. Just, I want you to know, when we go there, food is not readily available. And it's not New York, okay? You have to know it's Cuba. So the more he started warning me, I said to him later, I said, why are you telling me all these things? You don't want me to go? He said, no, 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 I want you to go with me. But I just want you to understand this is not New York comfort. But when we went, things have changed from the last time he went. Things have been, but the food, small portions. You cannot use your credit card or your debit card in Cuba. So our students there, the government sends their allowance to the Fiji mission in New York, and then one of the staff takes the allowance to them. So when we started, there was 14 students there, and I recall one of the mothers reached out to me. I think Selai Corbusier, she was a director for women. Her daughter was studying there, so she reached out to me and saying, they are suffering. There's no food. They are borrowing from the locals, and it's really difficult for them. So can you please ask the ambassador to do something? So immediately, I got my girls together. I know they asked me one that time if they could share it on Fiji Times and Facebook, and I said no, 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 no. It looks like it's self-serving if we are sharing it like that, and we don't want people to know what we're doing, right? So we sent suitcase of stuff for them, for the 14 students, male and female. Um, a big Ziploc of snacks and another Ziploc of sanitary products, like hand sanitizer, uh, sanitary pads, you name it, toothpaste, toothbrush, nail cutters, nail file. I mean, whatever I could think of. Even I sent them vitamins, I sent them band-aids and bandages and whatever. I said, these are doctors. They'll know how to use it. I just threw everything inside. Um, and they and I was told later that when this stuff arrived, Navitangizaki, they cried when they saw because they were not expecting it. And for me, like, I always do those kind of projects in Jerusalem. We call it a shoebox appeal. We take a shoebox and fill it up with gifts and distribute to the less fortunate in Gaza and all those places. Um, so I found that fun, and I got my girls involved deliberately so that they can see how they are such spoiled brats, living in New York. They got so much for them to see how they should be grateful that we waste a lot. And these are people who don't even have anything. So our students got those. Um, and I try my best every time someone goes, if I know, we pack things. And this time I knew that one of them already graduated. Dr. Samutano, he also comes from the military. He was a sergeant in the military. So now he's a doctor. So I said to him, Samu, when I come there, you'll come to our hotel room and we'll have a small party for you because you graduated. Um, so they came, and there was a Solomon Island student and also one Kiribati student. So I packed for these students their snacks, one pack snacks and one sanitary products again. And then I packed food. So ambassador didn't even know there was food too in his suitcase, right? Of course, the diplomats, they don't check our bags. So we pack the food, the fruits, and then we arrived there, to look for restaurants to go and eat, and then it takes long for the food to arrive. I said, you know what? I packed the electric kettle. And I didn't know if there was a fridge in the hotel. When I asked the doctor in Cuba, I said, Samu, do they have a fridge in the hotel? He said, no, madam, there's no fridge. So I didn't take other food that I could have taken, frozen things. I could have cooked some daltana and packed it in the suitcase. But when I realized there's no fridge, I took dry food. And we had such a good time. They didn't leave our hotel room like after 11 p.m., I think. We just Talanoa, just sit down and chat with them, what they're going through. And next day was the presentation of the credentials to the first was meeting the deputy foreign minister, and then the main one was the president. So it was good that we could talk with them. So the issues they raised with us, ambassador was able to raise with the foreign affairs minister. And when we came to the president, he was already saying like, we are happy to help your students. We're looking forward to tell us what else we can do. So the presentation of credentials is not personal, right? It's not Filippo presenting, it's government to government, right? So it's official engagement, official presentation. So, I was blessed to be able to be in that company, just to have the experience. Um, it was really good fun. So it kicked off well when we met the medical students first. So they told us, their plight and what they're going through. And one of them, so maybe I should not say it here. I'm not sure if he said it or not. He's been given another scholarship to do even a higher study, right? So there are good things happening. More students, they're open with scholarships, but it depends if our children can handle the tough life there. That's the challenge. You're not gonna have ATM where you just put the card and the money comes out. You have to wait till the allowance comes, uh, and they manage their money so well. I'm really impressed with the way these students manage their money. But everything, all the food that came from New York, I took two or three New Zealand palm corned beef. I said, this is the best thing to, I have children too, so I know New Zealand palm corned beef, tuna, fresh bread, peanut butter, um, fruits, whatever, nuts, whatever I could take. They had a feast. So, that was our little feast in the hotel. And then after that, they packed and took everything. So I thought, even Ambassador, and he told me, like, Amele, you brought all this food for what? I said, wait, the children are coming tonight. They'll eat all this food because he didn't know that there was food in his suitcase. Yeah. I was waiting that they would open our suitcase and check, but obviously it went through. And there was no electric kettle there, so I took the electric kettle with me, and I called the doctor, Dr. Samu, and said, Samu, bring some bottled water to our room. We have to make some hot tea, and took noodles, that they can have noodles, things like that. And I remember the first time we sent stuff, I just came back from Fiji. So all they haven't got their allowance for I think more than 6 months. So all the FMF biscuit and the packet of the bean from Fiji, that all went to them. So can you imagine being away from home?
Certo sana
And
marau, le.
getting Viti na tanga bean na Chinese lolly na mango skin.
Oh.
Those are the things we appreciate when we are far away from home. Eh? I told the
Ah,
girls at home, okay, we don't need this. We are going to send this to Cuba. Okay, mom, let's send it. Yeah. So it was perfect timing. But this time I say you just have the cookies from New York. There's no biscuit from Fiji. But this time I posted it on Facebook. So
oh,
uh,
that was so
first time,
awesome.
first time I said, oh.
Nagusarap ka daw sa Maraw eh. No, klan do makasamtakan na matintua Cuba eh. Ganun nung rin kim do na nung do chiko. Ganyan gumiro nga nung mitala no. Oh, I can imagine the students and their family. Nila na rongo din sa kuya na kela. Ganun nung raya, yayaw ko tayan.
And it it doesn't cost much. It's just the thought and the just to see them happy and excited. That's more than enough. That's my biggest gift for the for the trip, that we could do that and just give them some hope, encourage them. And I'm excited because these are our future doctors, right? So I was telling them, make sure, when I'm with my walking stick, I'll make sure I want to see these doctors come to help me. So I'm paying it forward, right? I'm investing into my future that I want to see more doctors in Fiji. And of course, we need more doctors in Fiji, right?
Indeed.
So for me, I never thought like this. So I guess the role too makes you think about that big picture. I'm excited for them because I said these are going to be our future doctors, right? We've all had bad experience going to CWM, right? My father went there and was not a very pleasant experience. So when I hear that we're going to have new doctors, I'm really excited, right? And they can go to the rural areas, right? We need a lot of doctors too. We need Netasiri, Namosi, Wenimbuka, right? We need
Nah.
more doctors to come there. We already have some of our own, right?
Yes.
So, the more the merrier, the more the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Wow.
that's how we should be. Like right now,
Yeah.
as mothers, this is how it is, right? We happy for our young people. We happy for our country. And we all need women. We have a lot of power, right? Just that simple act of love. Can you imagine what it does to those young people? They will remember that someone thought of them, right? That just gives them another fuel to go on. And and the big picture is that, we women, we have the power to make things happen. We have the power to break things. Um, let's just continue building. Like Fiji needs all of us, right? If you're a woman, you have a lot on your plate, right? We need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of other people. And a lot of times we take care of other people, we forget ourselves. And
Mm.
that's the challenge for us women. Like, let's take care of ourselves first. And that way you can take care of other people, right? Take care of the temple of God first.
Mm. Tena saranga. Man, vinakubali wa Amele for reminding us the importance of self-care. Di sa
Mm,
sini chikana no mumbilo, sa ngera nyo sawa ino binanto tala ng bilo tarapa. So, di
exactly.
sini chikumanda na numwe. O iro matanga na parang ito, mbuli binaka Vivi, mbuli binaka William Vati, mbuli binaka Vikim do kena parang chikumai, maramanitan di Loki, ado mbuli binaka menandela na lang mitamabua, boleh nak
Nasirindo.
marabunita di Amel, thank
Ngumbula
you
yani.
so much. Yes, alam ko timo kana bula, baka binibina na nonra mina ni na makina na totoka ni Talanoa. And I think, Amel, with your beautiful words that you shared earlier in the beginning of the program, I think we need more time of Talanoa like this, just to sit and Talanoa and remember the wonderful things that was given to us. And also, you just taught us how to pay it forward. And paid forward with love, paid forward with with just so much thought. But kina viko itaki na kanda kilite ni kina. Vinakabali msara vikimruka na marama vitumbuni, vitobayas na non silito na ngono me dami tumamo non bumbu me da me Talanoa, na vikim ni na barro kumai o nung marama tua kangu Amele. Mi miti ko pinanana torboli lai makumbuna na makumbuna sa tawir mi bakamit mi redikoy se te kero se vital no Chicago sana tatau mele be kemu na no mu me viwa se tu ngande Jeruisalemi ngande Nepal ngonde sa ngande ngango Cuba totoka makoti na viwa se ni ko amel datal nero viwa se ni berni sa me lava na nondor vitalano.
Senga sa kelas sa lebu nugu talno sarana bia so sa tal na rong talno chikmai. Wabi nanga ba lebu Dr. T. Um, you always look out for talent to showcase on your platform. And only a person with a big heart can do that. And you do it in your own unique way. That's special, right? So right now, if you go without the tick, it's not Dr. T. So, that's the thing I love about you. You do you, right? Um, as long as we do it gracefully and when I asked my husband today, what do you think I should, if Dr. T asked me what advice should I give the women, what do you think I should say? He sent me a text and he said, women, you already important. You do not need to impress anyone. women, you already have a powerful position in society, but do it with grace and learn to get educated on those issues, right? Because a lot of times, you can be fighting for an agenda and you haven't even looked at all the the pros and cons and all sides of that argument. Eh? And we women, we are good. We can argue whenever we we want, right? We have strong mouth. We can really talk, and we can make our point in the home, in the vanua, in the society. But there's a place to drop the bomb, to give those hard words. It may be hard for some people to swallow, but if it was meant for that place, do it. Um, but most times, uh, our words need to be seasoned. Um, we need to know our place in because we are very unique, right, Fijians. We need to know our place in the Vanua, in the Lotu, and like I said earlier, most times we are our own worst enemies, right? And the challenge is that how do we evolve, right? How do we evolve as a Fijian woman and a modern Fijian woman? We hear this a lot coming out in our society about being the modern Fijian, right? So, what is a modern Fijian woman? How do you define a modern Fijian woman? Eh? That could be a chapter another day because I have my own views that may not be very popular, but I know how I was raised. And, if you know your identity, you know who you are. You have no need to compete with anyone and you have no need to worry about what people say. And if you're not sure, just ask, right? Just ask. I think that's the best thing we can do for ourselves this year. Ask a lot of questions, get to learn. Don't be shy to ask questions. It doesn't matter, right? I have women from other different nationalities who come to me for questions about skincare, questions about their gut, questions about high cholesterol, about high blood pressure, all these things. But as Fijians, I find like we can be a bit shy to share that. And for me, that's my professional side. You come to me with that, it stays with me. And then when I see you, you feel better, you look better. That's the best reward I can get, right? So just be yourself and don't forget where you come from. Remember your humble beginnings and never look down on it. Like I'm proud I was raised, started, in Kalambu, Wakansila. Then we moved to Nandera, and I still keep my relationship with people in Nandera. And then we moved to Lodala Beach. And then I got married. I moved to Netasiri and then Silver Point, and and the world was open to us. So there's just so much, right? And for those of us who have much, it's a higher calling for us. The responsibility is bigger that we need to take care of other people. Right? And that's the thing different about us. Like I know in other cultures, my money is my own. Here in America, I remember first time I got my paycheck, my mother took the whole envelope, took everything, and it worked like that for most of the years, right? I can't even buy new shoes and a new dress because payday, my mother takes my envelope. Can you imagine if I did that to my own children here? Payday and I take, no way. It's a different culture. So I had to learn that, right? Sometimes I have to remind myself, oh my God, my husband says, you sound like a loser, like you're fighting with your girls, right? So we have to evolve, right? And that's one question. Like when I see people out there in public saying the modern Fijian woman, how does a modern Fijian woman look like? And what is it that has to be modern about a Fijian woman, right? And then if you want to look like everybody else, then you are not Fijian anymore, right? So be proud of your identity. No other, we are just what, under 1 million?
Mm.
So why do you want to give up that identity as a Fijian woman? So young people, get educated as much as you can. Don't forget your faith because that's the anchor. I remind my girls all the time. We came to this country with a suitcase each. Don't think that you live in this house, that it was like that all the time. No, we come here. We are not we first generation living here. So learn all the good things. Don't pick up the bad things. Right? Uh, and it's hard, right? In Fiji, we have our support system. Okay? So let's ignite those support system again. Yeah?
Amen.
Let's
Amen.
open up, right? And you have this right, like your teacher says something to you and you run to the school to go and fight with the teachers. Like that's not to say that if something bad is being done that you keep quiet,
Mm,
right?
mm,
You go, you fight for your children because no one else will advocate for your children. I mean, I'm known in my school here where the kids go. Tali came one day with a black eye in her face. I was running and she said, Mom, don't go, don't go. It was an accident. We played sports and that girl hit my. I was ready to go and fight in the school, right? Especially when you're here in the US, you don't have anyone else to advocate for you. So advocate for your rights. Speak up, right? Live no one can Speak up.
mm,
Speak the truth and always not to be afraid. There's courage. We show physical courage. I'm this, I'm that. That courage, that kind of physical courage doesn't work in the global world, right?
mm,
Moral courage, the courage that comes from inside to speak the truth with grace, with love, and with understanding. Right?
mm. Totoka. Emeni, au sa mama rau jina ni singa levu nungu marambi naka vali levu ke mami lako mai ni mami kete kete so e lala chiku mai so e vi mama toka ngo sa o chini ndoro vital no sa sinai sa vuam bale tai na ni mami noke ke mami koto voli mai na vuki ke
Yes,
mami kebe na
you've been too
vararongo.
kind, Dr. T.
Ikaw na bakararong ko sa wala kanilito ng rotal mata na bararong ko kumay. Mananandor tiki bu na medo maingo era baka vin na ka baka limsar berto na nondor maramanita na sarbaturang leta sirera baka bulat kumay dom bula vinaka kiro maraw kiro na maram di kanta bungo sando sangolen ni tasir dotal nga sangolen na musi kiro sale ki sema tuyan na bunuan rock and rock totoka kundu-kunduan na ako na kena udi wai. Pati ke oir talaga na kena ito ke era totoko baka udi. Menapa baka levar
Ngasa,
mele?
ngasa. Isa, na vale Dr. T. Ngori, sara no mundre Dr. T.
Sandon, naka ba leo sa lolom sa rito bali bin rito na ngone lewa binumuk
Marley.
tata lolom tal nga bali bin na maku total na ngaw na kay bisure tu yatu mega mitoman tal ni dorbital no sa lolom sa rito bambimbi.
Naka, na vale Dr. T, naktal nga vale na viwakani ni vitoko ni tiko mai, ni bosota, que kaso na bosa tomba leda, que remi ubosoti, sa baka mode tiko yani na irke na kanta que non dai toka en rabarong tiko mai nonda. Na vale.
Sabi na ako. Nakabalim sa nuk marama. Darong gabi tar chip kalungatan na songko di mataka. Na kaya na marutay kina nanda singa na maram. Salalo may ato.
Naka,
Laka. Mwade.
ya, vale Dr. T.
Laka. Sa totokan din ang takalungata. Na sino pinaka di kuha. O di madetanra. Na tikin yaw wasargango. Na nonta siya masarto na City Levu o New York. Kahit maraw ni siya masarto kumikino tinaimbeta. Amele Tarakinikini marama ni Tilima nakaseleka may kandamu na may baka madalti ko ito weekenda li weekend na kilikoy na bay tabi nga na andi sinitoa bay tabi nga ko na matay balu may viti basu I tovu totoya may lau kaya karvarong ito kumain na leni koro Tilima may nakaseleka baka nga kina na bunwe na yava marama ni solo tabui may nakaselekkan daw sa lolo matal tsungayatu wiki mo na biyokan may solo tabui lolo matal tsungayati na koro lolo mani koro may nakaseleka may kandaw lolo matal nga I arroy matuk may law na buno tal nga siya makina na maramang go amele siya talaga ng wileda na buno tal nga teorikina may dalila sa kaw may naitasiri pinakabalib sa arabikim ni nabito ko ni menes kuha kero marau na marama vita dini na nomuni sema mai na vita lo ni nonda viva kongeti baka marama na namaro tekitiko ni nonda singa na marama Happy International Women's Day da ba ma nama tetiko na singa baka rawai na mpungi ni kuha na sema tal tanga mikina orto na marama lewe ba erto na may veiwasei tiko na wala kaloko na ngona may viti, na sema tiko mikino fani, saumbulina yao, bakatalangaki no Elisabetta wanga, o mereseni balelevuka, bata ke akanisi bakaloloma. Nega sema mai no talanga na vitalanoa buta katakato ya na wala kaloko, ia na vitu, na sema tiko mikina o vuni wai paulangereti, na mai tukuni tiko veira na ngone, ni vanoa vakturanga weni keli, sana vakturanga o da onrobe. Nega sema mai, vitu na kaloko, ke na wala kaloko, na mbong vinaka ni kosa bakamadhiani, vekemni, thank you so much for spending the time with me and Amele Tarakinikini. With all our love to all of you, this harmony.